Everybody have a good week? Fairly good. I mean, yesterday I was disturbed. It was so cold. I thought winter was over, but of course we're in Oklahoma, so I never could tell. I thought that we're going to talk about questions that I have that I would like to look into the empty tomb and ask. So I'm going to pull up my chair outside the empty tomb, and I'm going to look in and ask some questions, because I heard there's some messengers in there. That's what the New Testament calls them, messengers, and so they must have a message. I'd like to know. I have some questions about it. First of all, this will go on past when Easter is over. We'll do some more on this. But I'd like to ask, what and who is God? I'd like to know that. Now, here was Jesus who came, as he said, to show us the Father. And I want to get clear on this. Who is God? What is God? Was Jesus God? I don't know. Sophar asked Job. Sophar was one of Job's friends. You always, when you get sick or something, you always have these friends come around and give advice. Or you're getting a divorce, they'll advise you. Or, whatever might happen, the house burns down, they advise you. They come around. You don't see them when good times are, but they'll come around. But Zophar asked Job a very interesting question. He said, "Can you by searching find out God?" Now, in the Orthodox Church, we learn that no, that's not possible. No, nobody knows God. But in the New Thought churches, we say you can search and find out God. You can find out many things about it. Take some study, some prayer, some understanding. You might have to look at some of the old writings, some of the new writings. You have to see it. I found a wonderful translation this week. It's called The Message. And it is a bombshell to a lot of what the old teachings are about. They have found new words that describe better what Jesus was saying. Now, the Message version of this very scripture says, "Do you think you can diagram God?" Did you ever do that in school? I don't know if they do that anymore. Diagram. You did diagram a sentence, of course. I was pretty good at that. I was always real good at English stuff, and writing, and I could do that. But sometimes they give you a real hard one, and you didn't know where to put it on the line. I didn't know where to do it. And the kids nowadays, they still do a little bit of that, but it's all different than what we used to do. They put it in on the computer. So it's all totally different. So he asked Job, when Job was suffering, he said, "Do you think you can diagram God?" Well, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. I don't know what Job said back. It doesn't tell us. Now, we know much more today than we have in the past about the nature of God. It's been revealed as the centuries went on. There was, in the past, say 500 years, there were a lot of writers who indicated certain things. But in the last 125 years, there's been a tremendous upheaval of understanding about God. Now, when Mary Baker Eddy came along, she gave 7 synonymous, are those terms that fit together, 7 synonymous terms that described in her best understanding about God. And in New Thought churches, we use these 7 synonymous terms today. They're still used. One of the words she used was a rather interesting one. It's one we don't use much. It's not understood much, but we call God principle. Well, what on earth do we mean by that? It's not the kind of principle that's you go get called down to when the bell rings, and they say, "Please send John Doe down to the office." Principle, what is it? It's the very essence or foundation of everything. The very essence of it. The principle, the base, we could say, of something. The foundation of all creation, the very thing that has brought forth everything and holds everything together. God says, the scriptures, God created human beings. He created them godlike, reflecting. This is in the Message. God created human beings. He created them godlike, reflecting God's nature. So I'm kind of tooting this translation. Can you imagine the scripture saying that? God created human beings. He created them godlike, reflecting God's nature. Did you ever think that's what you are? You're a reflection of the very nature of God. Well, there's another word that pops around all the time in metaphysics, and it's mind, and it's with a capital M, capital M-I-N-D. What does that mean? Somebody tell me out there in the audience. What does mind mean to you? What is it?
Knowing.
Knowing. When we're talking about God, and we say mind, what do we mean?
Creative.
Creative.
Awareness.
Awareness.
What about universal?
That's a very good word, universal. Well, let's put it this way. Let's come down to material things. How did this pulpit get here? What was it before it was a pulpit?
A tree.
Tree.
Okay, that's very good. Who said that?
Idea.
Who said that? Carlos said it. Idea. It was an idea first.
Yeah.
Thought.
It was an idea first, a thought first. Now, where was it?
Creator.
Somebody's mind.
In somebody's mind, in the creator of it, in the mind. First of all, we get an idea, and then it comes to us, and we think about that, and we want. So not all ideas we have are very good. You know, some of the ideas, your neighbor let their dog come over on your lawn. You know, then you have an idea, but it probably won't work very well. You might go to jail. Well, anyhow, that's not a very good idea, but there's a lot of inventors around, and they have these ideas. These ideas come from somewhere. They come from, say, the tree or the thing or wherever this comes from. The need. Let's put it that, the need. And so they're saying, yes, this thing might work, and so they begin to bring it into manifestation. Now, that is exactly how God works, and because you are God's image and likeness, that's how you work. I don't like it that. You know, a lot of people don't like it, because I say, well, I can just think anything I want to think, and nothing will happen. You should know by now that that's not the way it is, because you will bring in like kind those things that you're thinking about consistently. And what about fleeting thoughts? Well, as long as you don't stop them on their road through your little brain session, then they won't harm you, because you just deny. You don't have to put up with that. But if you entertain something, you'd have a tendency to become like it. Have you ever seen a husband and wife that get married and they act alike? They finish each other's sentences, they talk alike, it's because they're together. It's kind of like putting water in the refrigerator and it becomes something because of the atmosphere around it. So when we're saying mind, then we're saying the very intelligence of the universe that is bringing forth everything. God creates man, first of all, as a divine idea. That's what we really are, basically, is divine ideas. Dr. Uren Gregg, somebody asked Dr. Uren Gregg, what exactly is man out here? He said, well, that's as much of the divine idea as we're able to bring forth. That's why it's so diversive. This man thinks something of this, something of that, and so everybody has a different idea, and we're all different. Wouldn't it be boring if you all look like me? Or if I look like you? Everybody just look like you? That's the way it is. No, we all wore the same clothes. We all said the same thing. Wouldn't life be boring? But because we come forth as a divine idea, we begin to diversify. And we begin to bring forth different kinds of things. God creates man as, first of all, as divine idea. And because man is the image and likeness of God, you see, here's the attachment. Here's the thing itself.